Thunder Bay Superior North Member of Parliament and Minister of Health Patty Hajdu on the throne speech on NetNewsLedger. It's James with NetNewsLedger. Joining us by phone is Minister of Health Patty Hajdu, the Thunder Bay Superior North Member of Parliament. Minister, thank you for taking the time on what is probably a very busy day.
Well, they're all busy these days, but yes, this is a busy day, just given that we have just received a speech from the throne and have some new direction as a government in terms of the next steps we'll take to protect Canadians from the most serious public health crisis we've ever faced together.
The word is coming out that this is a very ambitious speech from the throne that has got some fundamental protections for Canadians as well as for business. What do our readers and viewers need to know?
Well, I think, first of all, that we're, really focused on four foundations. The first being that we are focused on making sure we take care of the urgent and emergency, which is protecting Canadians from COVID-19. So continuing to work with provinces and territories, continuing the work that I talk about day in and day out, securing vaccines, accelerating access to testing and testing capacities, manufacturing, domestic manufacturing of a variety of different medical tools and devices, including PPE. Those are the kinds of things that we have to continue to do so that we're well situated to take on COVID no matter what it throws at us next. Next, really helping Canadians through the pandemic. So this is whatever it takes to get Canadians through this pandemic and businesses through this pandemic, because we know when Canadians and businesses are supported, that actually we're all going to be better off. So the extension of the the Canadian employer wage subsidy to next summer, something that I think employers will be happy about, will certainly save a lot of jobs and save a lot of businesses, but also making sure that Canadians have access to a stronger safety net, like a reformed EI, where actually people can see themselves, whether they're gig workers or people that work part-time, the kinds of folks that have been traditionally not included in EI, helping to transition people from the CERB to EI through an emergency benefit that will help ensure that they're supported financially. And then, of course, a lot of health stuff. So for me as a Minister of Health, the continued work we're doing on expanding care so that people have access to primary care. I think the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us that virtual care can work and can be effective. Of course, it needs access to broadband, so that's in there too. A national pharmacare plan, which, as you know, we've been taking important steps towards. So really accelerating that work. It's interesting to note in the speech from the throne that it clearly indicates that we'll move forward with this, and we'll move forward with the provinces that are interested. And hopefully the rest will come along as they see the value for their citizens in their own respective provinces. Childcare, a huge piece of getting back to work for women. And I know in particular, I shouldn't say just women, but certainly predominantly women have been, at home, working from home, trying to balance childcare. Not having access to childcare and affordable childcare is a real deterrent to our ability to have full prosperity. And so exciting to have that in a speech from the throne, that we'll be working with provinces and territories and putting forward a universal childcare program similar and based on what, the model in Quebec, which is really, really affordable for all Canadians. And so there are many, many things in there, James, but really exciting work. And then finally, just, the stuff on the environment, doubling down on national housing so that we have rapid housing solutions so that we can eliminate homelessness and have much more ambitious targets on the environment. And then the competitiveness through clean growth so that we can continue to fight climate change and use the economy and the investment in industry and clean tech growth as a way to do that. And finally, I would just say, look, there's 1 million Canadians unemployed. So an aggressive strategy to employ 1 million Canadians, a variety of different ways being looked at to do that. But we've got our work cut out for us, that's for sure.
Now, one of the things that we have talked about almost every week that we've talked is how sneaky this virus is, and it looks like it's sneaking its numbers up again. What message for all of us across the country?
Well, two messages, really. One, the COVID-19 pandemic is not over. And I would say that we've had a pretty wonderful summer, especially here in Northern Ontario, where we have been able to gather more frequently and in larger numbers. But as the winter approaches, of course, COVID-19 spreads quickly. It spreads silently in some cases. But when it hits, and affects a person that is vulnerable, the results can be deadly. So we are all going to have to double down on the things that we've learned over the last several months. It feels like several years, doesn't it? But almost in several years, but I think it's because I've been locked away digitally like the rest of us for so long. But that's the sad reality, is that we are also going to have to continue to contain our gatherings. Really one of the things that's spreading COVID-19, and of course we don't know with precision in Ontario exactly where things are growing, because 50% of their cases are unlinked. But generally speaking, we know it is with crowded situations that are contained, when people are speaking closely. So we have to avoid those things. We can't bring a bunch of people together in a house party. We have to avoid crowded spaces, and we for sure should be wearing face masks when we are in spaces where we can't physically distance, and of course where public health has asked us to do so. And those are the ways that we can protect each other. Finally, staying home when we're sick. It happened to me this week. I was sick. I was able to get a test as someone who was symptomatic. I don't have COVID, but I will just say that, the faster that the Ford government in Ontario can have a testing strategy that actually streams people to the right place, symptomatic people that public health has determined are a priority, asymptomatic people that have not had close contacts, are not suspicious of, people likely aren't exposed to COVID. That kind of strategy needs to get refined, because that is going to help with the business functioning of our community. And, of course, we're all worried about getting COVID-19, but it's very important that you reach out to public health or to the hospital to ask if a test might be appropriate for you, because you can also help reduce some of that rush if, in fact, you don't need a test today.
Now, one of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier in the conversation is the extension of the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy for businesses, and that's probably going to save not only jobs but businesses. But I am hearing from some businesses in Northern Ontario that are very worried because they've applied for this subsidy and they're being told, oh, hang on, you're behind on your payments to CRA or to WSIB, and they're having the subsidy denied, which could cause job losses. Is there anything that can be done there?
Well, I think on a case-by-case basis, if the people are in my riding, they should approach my office and we can help work with the bureaucracy. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there are criteria for every program. And of course, I don't know the specific criteria around, delinquent payments. But I will just say that this is highly effective for a large number of businesses. And we know that. Of course, there are going to be businesses that are not eligible. Some businesses are not eligible because they haven't seen the loss in revenue. Then that's the good news, right? That means that they don't need it. This is really there to preserve those businesses that are struggling, that are really having a hard time making ends meet, and that have staff that are relying on them. And again, it was really, I think, a key hallmark of our response to COVID-19 is keeping as many people in jobs as possible. But for any business that's struggling to get a subsidy or get a loan that is finding themselves ineligible, please reach out to your member of parliament, either me or Marcus, depending on what side of town you're on, and we can certainly help and figure out if there's a way that we can communicate with the agencies for you.
Minister, I think that I'll leave it like we always do. Is your message from you for Thunder Bay, Superior North, and of course all of what I'm going to call Western Ontario, because we are south of Vancouver, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Edmonton here in Thunder Bay.
Well, a good point. Yes, to all the people in northwestern Ontario and in my riding and all across the region, I just want to thank you for your incredible vigilance. We've done well as a region. We will have our ups and downs. There will be cases. There will be there will be challenges, but we will get through this together. And I just want everybody to know that your government has your back, regardless of your situation. We will get through this together, and it's really important that we work together on that vein, because governments can't end this alone. We can be there with support, with regulations at all levels of government. We can be there with tools, financial and otherwise, but we actually can't practice the safe behaviors for you. And so people are going to have to take those decisions. On that last note, I'll just say, I was at an event in BNA in my riding, First Nation community.
Yes.
To celebrate at the community center. And, an elder came up to me and hugged me before I could stop her. And I felt so bad, and I gasped, actually. She looked just so disappointed because I almost pushed her away. Yeah. And then in my remarks, I said to her and to the whole community, not hugging right now is a sign of love. Not going to that dinner party is a sign of love. Saying no to that invitation is actually a sign of love. It means that you care enough to not unwittingly spread a virus to the people that are in your lives and that are depending on us to all do the right thing. So we're going to have to be we're going to have to turn on our head what we define as love, and we're going to have to stay apart as a demonstration of love to each other.
Minister, thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Talk to you soon, James. Bye-bye.
Stay informed and stay up to date. Hit subscribe, hit like, share this with a friend. Make sure you hit the little bell so you get notified the next time that we have a video up. Thanks for tuning in to NetNewsLedger.